Security officials in Iraq are warning that their country is witnessing a resurgence of ISIS. Militants from the terrorist group have been slipping across the border from Syria to northern Iraq following their defeat there. More than 1,000 fighters are now estimated to have entered the country in the past 8 months. For more on this and what's happening there and what it means, and the U.S. presence in Syria, we're joined now by former Naval Intelligence Officer John Jordan, who's good enough to join us. You know, I'm just sitting here, John, thinking about this, and I'm thinking, I bet you not a one of those ISIS fighters gives a crap about where that border is between Iraq and Syria or any of those other borders, right? To them, it's just whatever, a caliphate.
Yeah, exactly. The border's ill-defined, and they probably don't know or care. The bulk of them, if not all of them, actually are from towns and and communities in northern Iraq. So they're actually, in a way, they're actually kind of going home, where to some extent they participate in small-scale attacks, local control, local political vendettas, things of that nature. But this is really the byproduct of the substantial end of the fighting in Syria.
What does it say that after our war, you know, this kind of goes in keeping with the conversation I was just having with Brigida and the governor, that we go to Iraq, we think we're doing something which is going to end up being positive for the region. We're going to democratize the region and somehow bring hope to the people of Iraq. And here you and I are talking now, once again, about what is essentially a part of, ISIS, which comes from, help me out here, Al-Qaeda, right? We went in there. We were going to make sure Al-Qaeda got out. Al-Qaeda gets in. Now ISIS is formed, which is really a part of Al-Qaeda, and they're back in there. I mean, this whole story is really frustrating, isn't it?
Well, ISIS and Al-Qaeda are different, and they have fought. There's different sub-factions with each group. It's a very complex political ecosystem. But I got to be honest, in 2003, I bought into not only WMD with President Bush II, but the idea of exporting democracy and imposing it in different parts of the world. I bought into that. I was obviously very, very wrong, and today I probably have a far more humble view of American foreign policy and its appropriate role in the world than I did then. Not everybody has shared or taken that lesson as perhaps I did, including John Bolton. And this also impacts our relationship with Russia. After the end of the Cold War, we thought that we were going to export democracy into parts of what used to be the Soviet Union, and that really gave rise to a lot of the difficulties today.
So you're a hawk. I think, at least, you're not a crazy hawk, but you're kind of a hawkish guy. You come from a military background, but even you, I hear you saying that we need to be a little more strategic about what we do for the sake of not allowing something like what's happening right now in, with ISIS suddenly getting back into Iraq, as we're reporting.
Well, I'm not a hawk. I'm more of a dove with some sharp claws and a sharp beak. I have a pragmatic view of the appropriate use of force, and it's not something that can be used. It's the height of arrogance, which is what America demonstrated in 2003, and at other times, too, that it can export democracy and impose a value system against the consent and will of political structures that have been there for thousands of years.
You know, it's funny, we got 30 seconds, but do you think in the end we're finally going to be able to come to grips with the situation in Iraq, or are we just going to be reporting this every 3 months? They're in, they're out, they're in, they're out.
Well, you know, we're going to have a presence there for some period of time because the United States does have a vested interest in engaging certain terrorist cells and organizations in the Middle East. But we are there at the pleasure of the Iraqi government largely. I see that this is going to be a low-level, long-term deployment of American military forces for the foreseeable future, but I don't see the return to a large American military footprint in Iraq.
John Jordan, my thanks as usual for having us on and help me remember the term Al-Qaeda. How the heck I could forget, I don't know, but I did. Thank you, my friend. Appreciate it. So you haven't heard that we're the ones covering the stories that you won't see covered anywhere else? In Venezuela, Kazakhstan. Let's go to Hong Kong. And the media reaction to that has been crickets. How about the way we cover those stories? What the hell does that mean? Wally, Wally, Wally. That's the key word in this case, uprising. Keep? Can you believe that? Watching. This is the right thing for members of the media to do, to actually pick sides. Look, if you like what you see, subscribe.